a script. Do you do that?
My scripts are really simple. Just whatever's essential for that needs to be communicated in that panel and nothing else. You know, he looks sad. He punches him. Let the artist have fun.
That's. I have a real tendency when I get a script, especially in some of the really detailed ones, I just go through really quickly and I do my little layout and I write down like a 2 to 3 word note for each panel, and even the things that people are saying, I just write sad, angry. So yeah, there's a lot of subtlety there. But I've worked both ways, and it really depends on the writer. For me, I've worked with Jeff Johns, who's a DC writer, and he really knows what he's doing, so it was very easy just to draw everything that he wrote. And I worked with a novelist at Marvel on one project, and he had never done any comic stuff before, and it was a bit of a struggle. There were places where one thing that you can't do in a comic is you can't have somebody doing 2 things at once. They have to, it's one action at a time. So there were places where he would give me, multiple actions. The guy pulls out a gun, shoots it, and puts it back in his pocket, in one panel. I mean, it's not possible to draw that kind of thing. So I've had that, but that's pretty rare.
For video game developers, have they approached you a lot for work? And if so, what is your 3D software of choice? Do you guys work in 3D at all, or?
It used to happen a lot more. Back in the mid-2000s, it was happening a lot because they had not enough. The quality of games was just getting to the point where they really needed high-quality artists, and there just weren't enough out there. And now I never get asked. I think the last thing I did was maybe 3 years ago, and I don't get asked very often. And it's because there are so many phenomenal video game artists out there. They're incredible, and they do everything in color, fully painted. I work with pencil. I mean, I can do painted work in Photoshop or painted work with paper, but it takes me forever. I'm not, I can't compete with these guys, and so it's changing. Generally speaking, though, I would say if you're a concept artist, I think the standard for video games is pretty much Maya or Max, really, and they're similar. Now, honestly, if you know one 3D package, you know them all. I mean, the key shortcuts, you can even customize those. So, if you learn one of them, I think my favorite is probably Cinema 4D. It's just very streamlined. And if you're an artist, you really need to know how to use ZBrush. And I would recommend getting a Cintiq, which is, a screen you can draw on. Okay. And, the ZBrush, you can, actually, it's gotten to the point now with 4R7, you can do everything, even box modeling, which...
With ZBrush?
With ZBrush, yeah. Yeah, it's all, you can do anything that you can do in any other program. Doing a base mesh is just hit a button now, and when I first learned ZBrush, you had to go and do all the topography in a program like Maya, so... Right. I think the only thing that I would struggle with now, if I... this is a hobby for me, honestly. I don't even do this for work, really. I mean, I've done it like a tiny little bit, but for the most part, I really enjoy 3D. I think maybe that's my sketchbook sometimes, but yeah, I can't do rigging. I don't know if you've ever tried that.
I've rigged, yes.
Yeah, it's a nightmare.
It's a nightmare.
It gets mathematical, and the minute it goes there, I start losing it.
Yeah, well, counting vertices, basically, right?
Yeah.
Just counting vertices and envelopes and stuff.
And having to make sure that your hierarchies.
Yeah, it's a pain.
But yeah, sorry.
I just wanted to find out how much into 3D you guys are working in, but
I didn't understand a word that.
Okay, I got my answer.
I think we probably have time for one more question for everyone in the back. Go ahead.
Specifically for Dave, in regard to the relationship between writer and artist, would you say there's any difference now currently working with someone you have such a close relationship with versus working on something with like Jeff Johns? Any difference in, during the process, there are things you would say or not say, suggestions you would make or not make, if you don't want to sleep on the couch, or?
Yeah, actually it's a huge difference for me. And my wife and I fight all the time. We always have, really. So that actually is not even really an issue. We fight well. It doesn't get ugly.
Yeah.
So I'm totally willing to tell her if I don't like something. She's willing, and so there's a lot of collaboration. when I work with a writer, I'm working on this, I'm really trying to be better, but I have a really, really hard time asserting myself if I don't like something. I just won't say anything. So I'll draw a script exactly how it is, maybe, you know, to the book's detriment at times. Generally speaking, I work with such good writers that I think it works, but yeah, I have less influence in a book than I probably should, just because I never want to rock the boat.
Yeah.
Whereas with my wife, I don't hesitate. So I definitely have much more influence, and it's really gratifying. And I think, you know, going forward, I want to get over that tendency a little bit and actually communicate, you know.
Sir, are you holding that book for me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you.
All right, well, thanks very much.